Welcome to my channel everyone. In this video we are going to talk about SUI, Avalanche, HBAR and Dogecoin. Things remain exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. And if you also want to trade with cheap taker fees, then I can recommend you the crypto exchange mexc. So more than 100 tokens are tradable without any kind of fees. Here you can see a huge list of altcoins which you can trade. And for the other coins you have to pay some fees, and if you want to save there another 20%, then you can use my referral link which you can find in the video description. On top of that, those tokens, it's listed with 100 tokens, but it's most likely more than that. They are also rotating, so sometimes you can also trade Bitcoin and Ethereum without any kind of fees. I also want to talk about my P&L because today was a very profitable trade day. So in the end of the day, here's my P&L, 30 days P&L 7.5k. I always keep my account at 1k. So basically, I'm going to cash out soon. What I want also to show you is not every day is profitable. And we have to be realistic, especially if we are in day trading. If you see YouTubers flexing with $100,000 profits, $1 million profits, and you never saw a loss from him, that's the biggest lie. We can go into August. You even see more than 1 week where I didn't trade. And then you see so many loser days, but still, okay, ignore that. Those are fees for opening trades, but here, $128 losses, $123 losses, $100 losses, $200 losses. So basically, I always keep my losses per day. The maximum I want to lose is between $100 to $200. That's what I'm ready to lose per day. But if I'm right, then I also want to scale up, increase my position size, double up everything. And that's how I get 1k, 2k, 550, September here, 1.6k, $2,850. So in the end of the day, here's my P&L. This is going to get cashed out. I also told myself it doesn't matter how bullish the day is. I'm not going to jump in any kind of trade. Why that? Because we are just human, right? And if my account balance is up here, and I always say I trade like I have 1k, it might be possible that I just play too risky and then my losses are not $200 today. It can be $500 or even 1k because I think, oh yeah, I made good profits today. So basically I can play a bit more risky. I'm playing risky if I have unrealized profits, like I have trades which are in profits. And I scale up. Once they break to the upside and once I think the price is going to push, then I'm going to scale up for sure and play more risky. But once the trade is closed, the trade is closed. And then I have to restart everything, and I'm not going to jump into a trade in the beginning with a very high leverage or even with a very high amount of position size. So basically 30 days P&L 7.5k. So I did in the recent 30 days 750% on my whole portfolio in cryptos. But always keep in mind, day trading is very risky. If I can make in 30 days 750% profits, then I can make minus 90%, minus 100% on the next day. That's why reinvesting in day trading is not what I'm doing. If I start with 1k and I double up my money, then my next trades are not going to be like playing with 2k anymore. I'm not going to reinvest there because, like I said, 50%, 100% is possible. Cryptos are high risk anyway. If you are on stocks, for example, or if you buy indexes, then you know that cryptos already are very high risk. And if you put on top of that a leverage, then it's not high risk anymore. It's just insane. So basically, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And we just start with SUI. So for SUI, it looks good to me. I still expect higher prices. I still close my long position because of the reason that I have that I just had a very high leverage. And here we have our dream scenario. The dream scenario is a breakout over the $3.52 with the retest. Perfect. Now we are waiting for the breakout over $3.60 inclusively a retest. That would be very good. And then I think that our first target is going to be $3.75, which is the upper part of a falling wedge. Do I have to go into the 4-hour chart? I think not. So this here is our falling wedge. And it's possible that we are just going to break here the $3.60 to the upside, and we see the $3.75, so the upper part of the falling wedge again. We have to break it to the upside to be very bullish for SUI. In the end of the day, I can still imagine that we can also break the $3.75 to the upside, which would be very bullish. But $3.88 is going to be a resistance where I would say once we break this to the upside, then we can hit the $4.40, $4.80 for SUI. We also have our first red trend line on the chart, which is not down below here, so this red trend line is far away. We have another trend line right now, and the trend line is meeting the cross right here at $3.52. Once we break it to the downside, then I would say it would be negative, and we can see the purple box again, $3.30. If we also are going to lose it, then the next target is going to be $3.08. But for now, I don't want to scare you with any kind of bearish scenarios. We have them on the chart because those trend lines are essential, those support trend lines are essential to hold. But as long as we don't break them to the downside, we can still expect higher prices, especially if we break the $3.60 to the upside. So if we now look over Avalanche, perfect. So we had our huge fair value gap, which started at $28.90. The price went up to $29.33. Do I think that Avalanche is done with the push? It might be even possible. Avalanche did such a huge push to the upside that if SUI even pushes to the upside, that Avalanche can just do this over the time and then breaks to the downside. We also have a huge fair value gap lower than us, which even reaches prices down to $26.91. Like I said, I closed all my trades. Avalanche, even if I think, okay, I could have held my trades a bit longer. Like I said, I was over leveraged. That's why I have to take out my money and close everything. But if I wouldn't have been over leveraged and if I would still have my long trades, then in my opinion, now is the time to take at least profits for Avalanche. I closed my trade up here with this push. I actually closed my trade at the top. I was very, it was crazy. I was, like I didn't expect it myself. For sure, we did still a higher afterwards, but afterwards we got the sell-off. So basically, this was crazy. I can still think that Avalanche can go up more, $3.30, but the risk to reward ratio is far too high for me. Like we already have seen this push. Now the pullback, where we form a nice bullish chart pattern, and then I'm ready to jump into a new Avalanche trade. You also know me if you are following me for a longer time. I'm not hunting every single percentage. I don't care if I make 10% or 8%. For sure, over the time it's going to add up. For sure, if I reinvest, then for sure it's going to add up, and you can feel the 1 or 2% which you make in every trade more. You can see it then, because the price is going to move then exponentially, like your portfolio value is going to move exponentially. But in the end of the day, I'm not trading like this. I rather take my safe profits instead of trying to get 1 or 2% more. If my trade is already 10% in profit, then I have the chance to lose that 10%, or I can gain 1% more. That's why I will take out my money instead of waiting for the last penny getting hit. $3.30 is the target right now, and $38.30. So what I want to see is, to get to $38, I want to see a pullback, a bullish pullback, where we form a falling wedge or a bull flag, closing the fair value gap which we have down below here, so we don't have any more liquidity to take, and then the push to the upside. We still have our scenario here in mind, where we just get into the $28.90 to $30.30. This scenario was on the chart before, and that we are going to sell off from there a lot. I think this can happen with a very high chance if we are going to lose the $26.91 to the downside. That's why we have here also our first red trend line on the chart, which is not far away. So for example, the $23.15, they're also a red trend line. The $24.15, they're also a red trend line. But they are so far away that if we get there, then we can actually track before we get there some bearishness. So let's move on to the next coin. HBAR. So for HBAR, we have a bearish chart pattern. We have set here bear flag, which also looks like a rectangle. We broke the rectangle to the upside. Target 23.7 cents, right here. Where did the target move? 23.67 cents. So we hit the target. I can take this one out of the chart. I still want to keep the bear flag on the chart because those are going to be support and resistance trend lines in the future. I would just delete the target for that. So basically, what I would look for is, we have now a make it or break it point. We have to zoom out, then you will see a huge bullish chart pattern. This is the falling wedge in bright blue. We broke it to the upside, we also retested it. The other thing is that we have some bearish chart patterns like this one here from the past, which also broke to the downside. We also have here, since here, a rectangle, so moving within a box. Targets are here ongoing, 17.4 cents, and we didn't invalidate those targets yet. So what I can imagine is, we have our bullish falling wedge, broke to the upside, retested once, retested twice. If we don't get the follow through over the top right here, then we can still sell off because we have this falling wedge. And this is here the key level where I would say 23.1 cents. If we break it to the downside, then we should see the 22.4 cents first. But once we also lose this price mark right here, then we should move to the downside. And I think the push is done for HBAR. We should see the roundabout 17.5 cents, so a bigger pullback. Afterwards, the altcoin season for HBAR. This was the game plan since, I think, 1 week or something. I have this scenario in mind a longer time, but now I think that this scenario is going to happen with a very high chance. So also Dogecoin. Dogecoin did some good movement to the upside. This falling wedge right here in orange. It broke to the upside. Looks good. We are also over the purple box, which is a resistance box from the past. What we can also say is that this looks like a double top pattern. So for now, this is a bearish chart pattern. A bearish chart pattern is worth nothing as long as it's not breaking to the downside. So once we break it to the downside, and here's the price mark, 23.6 cents, then I think that we can sell off a lot, in my opinion, at least into the fair value gap, 22.4 cents. If we are also going to lose it, 20.5 cents is going to get very interesting. Afterwards, maybe even the 18 cents. As long as we don't break the 23.6 cents to the downside, so basically this one right here, everything looks good. We can look for higher prices, most likely 26 cents, before we might even see the 26 cents, and afterwards this kind of movement to the downside before the real altcoin season is going to happen. I think this scenario is right now preferred in my opinion, but also it might be even possible that we are not going to see the 26 cents and that we are going to see lower prices before. Here I have also drew something. This meant if we break here to the downside and if we take out the low here, then we should see lower price at least into 22.8 cents. This didn't happen, so I can take this one out of the chart. This would have just happened, in my opinion, once we break to the downside, but we didn't even break to the downside. So basically, still, I expect higher prices for all of the coins. So you can see, all in all, we broke bullish chart patterns to the upside. We also got a nice movement to the upside today, especially for Avalanche. And also if we look into ONDO, and you can see ONDO also did a nice movement to the upside. If we then look into the other coins like Dogecoin, first bearish chart pattern, the double top pattern. If we look into HBAR, rising wedge. So basically, if we look at Ethereum, for example, Ethereum very weak in my opinion. As long as we don't break to the downside, I don't see any kind of issue. Don't get me wrong. Just because I say we have bearish chart patterns on the chart, doesn't mean that we are bearish. But also the opposite. Just because we have bullish chart patterns on the chart doesn't mean that we are bullish. We have to break them to the upside. We have to see some movement to the upside. HBAR, for example, has a bearish chart pattern, but it also broke a bullish chart pattern to the upside. That's why I'm more bullish right now. The only issue is that once we break here to the downside, that we are most likely going to invalidate the bullish chart pattern and we are going to sell off. Then the bullish chart pattern is gone. And then the bearish chart pattern is going to get in play, most likely a bigger sell-off before we get the altcoin season. So with that said, we see each other in the Render, Tau, Kaspa and ONDO update.